Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming here today and joining us for our Participatory Budgeting Information Session 2025. First of many I'm hoping we'll have. But before we begin, I'd like to do the land acknowledgement. And thank you to those in the room and those joining us online here today, and to those who will be watching it later on in the recording. We acknowledge that we are gathered today on sacred land, territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat, and the Chippewa peoples. Toronto today is home to many diverse people, including Africans who were trafficked during the Atlantic slave trade and their descendants. This land is subject to the dish of one spoon, the Wimpum Belt Covenant, which compels everyone to stewardship of the land. We must recognize that we all need to eat and live of the abundance of the land equally, and we recognize the same reality for our future generations. Without intentionality and care, we cannot honor these responsibilities and pay respects to the Indigenous elders and ancestors to show that we understand that we are all treaty people. So we do have a 7-point agenda today, as you can see here. Will be a brief explanation of what direct democracy means, why a forum of ideas is important. We'll recap past PB projects from 2023 and 2024. Neighborhood zones, which neighborhoods can participate, why, who, and what happened last year. We'll be explaining a little of the difference between capital and operational cost and budgets. We'll explain the process, how to participate, what it means to participate, why it is important to encourage your neighbors to also participate. And the timeline, ideal collection, ballot selection meetings, vote days, and final announcements. And please save any comments you have, questions for later after Showing goes through his presentation. So I will start off by asking, what is direct democracy? What does it mean exactly? So the first time participatory budgeting was used was in 1989 in Porto Alegre, Brazil, where sanitation facilities was prioritized. So I'm excited to bring PB, as we call it in our office, budget to Toronto Centre, following the lead of my colleague, Councillor Carroll, who was successfully ran PB in her ward since 2015, funding 21 projects and counting. Today, we are introducing PB budget to your neighborhood after much success in 2023 here in Toronto Centre. This platform is one where community members can display, converse, and share ideas that they have about what kind of projects they want to see in their own neighborhoods. We will go into what can and cannot be done later on in the presentation. So in order to participate, you must be registered to torontocenterprojects.ca. You must have a registered address in your given neighborhoods. And you should always encourage your neighbors to participate because you share the neighborhood and your neighbors are champions of the common project. Your goal is to better your neighborhood the way you would like it to be. In your given neighborhood? I hear feedback behind me. So here are some notable projects from 2023 across zones 1, 5, and 6. Across cluster 1, located in Bay Clover Hill, Church Wellesley, and Upper Jarvis neighborhoods, we have a beautiful 2S LGBTQ plus themed mural coming soon above the Wellesley subway station. That should happen by June of this year before Pride. New elevated features to the Barbara Hall dog park improvements. Curbside bump out to deter fast traffic at St. Joseph Street, which is important. Across Cluster 5, located in St. Lawrence neighborhood, we have 4 planters for additional growing spaces, 4 bike corrals across St. Lawrence, offering 56 new bike parking spots, Heritage Street banners, Heritage Street signs, all currently being collaboratively worked on between the BIA and the Neighborhood Association and city staff as well. And Cluster 6, located in Corktown, Canary District, and the Distillery District neighborhood, we have 10 Corktown branded tree guards being installed, old parking spots along the Bayview bicycle track being converted to planters, and currently being worked on as we speak. We have the King Queen River Triangle being revived with Waterfront Toronto, and interactive lighting being worked on in tandem with the continued efforts to connect the Orphan Green parks between or below the Eastern Adelaide Bridge. So the most important thing to note is that the ideas were all generated by residents of their own neighborhoods. So feel free to download the full report of each zone to learn about the process of PB 2023 on our website. And I'm going to turn it over to my very competent staff, Sherwin, to go through the rest of the presentation.
So where are we at with the 2023 participatory budgeting so far? They're all hot in the oven. Yeah, as you all may know, releasing money is the easy part. Planning, designing, contracting, and finding the right weather for installation is the difficult part. In 2023, you all voted for projects. In 2024, released funds and did planning. And now we're finally seeing results in 2025. In Cluster 1, your neighborhood of Bay Cloverdale, Church, Wellesley, and Upper Jarvis, we have vinyl wrap art project coming to Wellesley Station this spring for Pride 2025. And a total of 37 Corten steel planters are coming to St. Nicholas and Irwin Street at Bay Cloverdale. Alongside new permanent curb bump outs will be coming to St. Joseph Street between Bay and Yonge Street to replace the current movable green bump outs. This will also help with speeding cars moving between Bay and Yonge Street. Bundled with Barbara Hall Park Master Plan is the renewed dogs off leash elements. That will be open in spring of 2026 prior to the opening of the rest of the park, which is under construction until 2027. Unfortunately, 2 of the St. Luke's Lane murals have been canceled and funds are being returned to the city as the private property owner decided to sell the property for development, which would ultimately damage the art if they continued with it. So now moving on to Cluster 5 project timelines. In Cluster 5 St. Lawrence neighborhood, we have 4 sets of bike corrals installed last spring in 2024 across St. Lawrence neighborhood. We received a request to replant dead and sick trees along Birksea Park, and that was complete last spring with transportation services. 4 new sets of planters in different locations across St. Lawrence neighborhood were also installed last fall. And coming up, we have movable cafe tables and chairs that are being installed at St. James Park this spring in 2025 by Old Town BIA. They are currently, being, those tables and chairs are currently sitting in storage of the BIA. We are currently waiting for the proper weather to go out for installation. So coming spring 2025. And 6 sets of garbage receptacles in St. Lawrence neighborhood are being wrapped as pilot project and being overlooked by the Old Town BIA going in the spring of 2025 as well. And Old Town Heritage banners recognizing Old Town Toronto Those are currently in the design and procurement stage. We're aiming for those to be installed in the summer of 2025, alongside heritage conservation street signage recognizing Old Town Toronto. Those are currently in the design process and being worked on between the Neighborhood Association, the BIA, and Transportation Services, and aimed for summer of 2026 for procurement and installation. We were also really pumped for and excited for the publicly accessible, privately owned space at 109 Broad Street. However, due to contracting problems between the condo and ground floor businesses, this project will be paused until further notice. And next, for Cluster 6 project timelines. In Cluster 6, which includes Corktown, Canary District, and Distiller District, we have installation of planters along Bayview Cycle Track coming this summer 2025, custom interactive lighting and acquisition of orphaned green parks beneath the underpass, which would be in 2026 when the Eastern Adelaide Bridge repairs are near completion in spring of 2026. We also have 10 Corktown custom tree guards being worked on right now between Corktown Resident Association and Transportation Services. This is scheduled to be complete in 2026, and procurement is beginning this spring in 2025. Lastly, we have the parquet at King Queen Triangle, which is being worked on by Waterfront Toronto in partnership with Toronto Parks and Recreation. A comprehensive project schedule is currently being marked in the making with Waterfront Toronto. And going into the next slide. In 2024, participatory budgeting took place in Cluster 2 and 3, which was St. Jamestown, Winchester Park, Cabbagetown, Cabbagetown South, Moss Park, and Garden District in the south. We collected a total of 45 ideas across the two clusters. Upon feasibility review phase with Toronto's city staff, we have 15 projects that were feasible and currently worked on. Upon the voting phase in PB 2024, we had total 326 votes received and over $1 million worth of projects. And next we have PB 2025. So what happened in 2023? In 2023 was the first time in Toronto history that participatory budgeting was brought down to a downtown ward outside of just the suburbs. We methodically selected 3 zones across Ward 13 that we have been receiving many requests for upgrades, having active participation amongst the resident body. In 2023, we launched PB on May 25th and allowed ideas to go on until June 30th. This year for PB 2025, we started a little early by a little over 2 months to make sure that residents have enough time to think, research, and look around our lush neighborhoods before we post any ideas. On top of that, we are introducing a physical writing format on paper that can be scanned into computer. You can take your time to take a few copies and bring them to us or to our constituent staff whenever you're ready, and more on that later. Next slide, please. And in 2023, we had 130 in-person engagements, 68 ideas submitted across 6 neighborhoods. And we think we can do a lot better than that this time across clusters 1, 5, and 6 in 2025. So for 2025 term, we will be completing the 3rd round of participatory budgeting in clusters 1, 5, and 6. Cluster 1 consists of Bay, Clover Hill, Church, Wellesley, and Upper Jarvis neighborhoods. Cluster 5 consists of St. Lawrence neighborhood, and Cluster 6 consists of Corktown, West Don Lands, Distiller District, and Canary District neighborhood. The reason why we chose these zones for these neighborhoods is because in 2024, we moved participatory budgeting to Cluster 2 and 3. While projects in Cluster 2 and 3 are being tendered through contract design and planning, we decided to do another round of participatory budgeting in clusters 1, 5, and 6 again, to also take this opportunity to bring some updates for projects from our 2023 round. So to the next slide, please. What projects are allowed? Before we go any further, let's clear something up real quick. By definition, capital infrastructure means any immovable asset such as land, property, including plant and equipment that is required for the provision of municipal services. Operational expenditures are day-to-day spendings in order to keep the engine running, like gas for a car. This is a definition taken out of Law Insider. Section 37 can go towards capital projects, but not operational projects. Today, we will be focusing on long-term investments for our neighborhoods, beginning with your ideas. Since capital projects are long-term and movable amenities that everyone in the community gets to use and enjoy in a long period of time, these are some examples of capital projects. The allocated amount of funding is $750,000, meaning you can submit any idea that is $750 on the dot or below. But if anyone wants to diversify the selection to have multiple capital projects, it's very likely that your project that is worth $750,000 will not be chosen because it doesn't fit in the budget. So let's talk about the process of participatory budgeting. Timeline. This year, we chose to give everyone extra time so that we can have an even more diverse idea collection between April 1st to June 30th. Then once all these ideas are collected in the summer, we begin to work on feasibility costing review with staff. When fall comes around the corner, our office will compile all qualified submissions for the voting stage. After the voting stage, our office will get ready to bundle all these projects for City Council for approval for execution. This year, we are also doing something a bit different because technology allows for it. We'll be conducting these in-person workshops like the one today to collect ideas through pen and paper and scanning them into the computer for direct idea submission. The timeline begins today, where we have our Ward 13 info session. From here, we will formally launch our cluster 1, 5, and 6 idea collection stage to cast a wide net and gather as much input from constituents as possible. Please remember that ideas must be realistic and fall within the $750,000 bracket. We understand that some folks appreciate further in-person engagement. So feel free to bring a few extra copies home as these idea collection forms for further deliberation. We will set up booths at several different park locations as well as community center locations across the ward for a variety of events that this spring. Feel free to drop by with these sheets to submit to us or ask us questions for most engagement possible. Next, after all the community ideas have been recorded and collected, city staff will review and consider the feasibility and cost of these projects. In this stage, our office will be working closely with city staff to determine which department will be spearheading which project or where the partnerships fit. Within those 2 months, it should give constituents enough time to consider which ideas are top ideas moving forward. And this stage would narrow that list down to all the ideas in a ballot-sized format to be voted on. Vote day is officially October 1st to October 30th. During this time, we will be collecting qualified ballots with top choices. All participating residents will have a shopping cart budget of $750,000. Each item you select in your shopping cart, your total budget will decrease until you can no longer fit another item in. All items on ballot added together cannot exceed $750,000. So imagine having a gift card valued at $750,000, and your job is to thoughtfully purchase as much as you can. Once prioritized items have been voted on, we now see the top capital projects that were generated and selected by constituents, voted on by constituents and selected by constituents. Results will be posted on torontocenterprojects.ca in a report format, and we will bring the voted items forward to Toronto City Council for approval. Lastly, the official announcement for the selected projects will be sent out via our newsletter and e-blast close to the end of 2025. Regular updates will be posted on Toronto Center Projects. So next slide, we will have a live demo that will bring us to our sandbox. In this case, our sandbox is for cluster 1. And we'll go up the sandbox a little bit and let's begin on how to vote. And yeah. So this is how to vote. First, you would be selecting the items. So you have a total budget of $750,000 where you can vote. And you can pick as many items as you like. And in this case, we want a ping pong table that's $100,000. And then another item that is $350,000. And we want to choose a laneway improvement. However, we've exceeded our budget. So that is what we have in the shopping cart, a total of just below $500,000, but that's all we can fit in the basket. And just before we review our shopping cart, we hit submit. And once you have hit submit, that is your vote. And now we want to go down a little to look at idea submission. These are some ideas from the past. We have the ping pong table idea that was submitted as an example. And you click somewhere on the map to submit your idea. And you want to put your title of your idea. For example, St. Luke Lane Mural Project. And who the author of that project is you. So you must be a registered user on this platform. And you want to give us a brief description of what you want to see in St. Luke Lane, this mural project, for example. Say what kind of theme are you looking for in this mural project? What kind of improvements? Basically answering the who, what, when, where, why questions prior to writing your description. Once we have that information, we can narrow down what you're asking for. And from there, we want to look at the location of where that idea would be. And from images, you would maybe take a photo out in the neighborhood, or if you don't want to, you could go into Google Maps to get a street view of what that location is. And you can edit it if you like. And tag it. Yes, the budgeting option would. Yeah, so that is our sandbox example. However, the focus of this year is our offline project ideation between April 1st and June 30th. So for online project ideation and submission is very simple. Write your first and last name. Write down your email so I can contact you for clarification. Consent you're creating your profile on Toronto Center Projects as an original poster for your idea. Write down your postal code for verification. Write down the title of your project. Write down a detailed description of your project. Try to be exact with the location of the project. This sheet will be scanned and transcribed onto the platform digitally, so please try to print with clean handwriting. Very similar to the online option that we had earlier, following those instructions. And that's it. And for the next slide. And our next slide is our offline project voting phase. This would be in October of 2025. For offline voting, the sample we have, this is a sample of what the ballot would look like. So you have your first and last name, postal code, review cost of the project, keeping in mind that the added amount cannot exceed $750,000. Select your projects, add them up, make sure they don't exceed $750,000. Write the total on line 4 beneath your postal code. This part is very important because if the total exceeds $750,000, your voting form can automatically be disqualified. And so next we have an example of what the voting ballot would look like. And this is just an example. We're still working on this. On the month of voting, we will also be hosting in-person voting events. In those instances, this is what a sample voting ballot form looks like. Your selected projects will be ripped out of the ballot sheet and put into a ballot box of sort. Your selected projects will have a sequence number. In this case, the number of this ballot is 0001. You will get a receipt with the sequence number, and the sheet will be kept by us. Hence, your total amount is very important, as it serves as a verification of your voted items. If you already have voted online and try to vote again, our office will know, because your postal code can be detected and the sheet will also be detecting. But all this will be in October, and for now, let's just focus on idea submission. So these are some PB on tour dates. In different dates, we will be present in different zones at parks, community centers, and major ward-wide events like Pride TO, to provide you with the option to speak to someone, shoot your idea forward in person, or to provide feedback. In the month of April, we will be launching here at Wellesley. We'll be here at the 519, and on April 16th, we will be at St. Lawrence Community Center. And in different dates, we'll be present in different times. On April 10th, we will also have our TC Talks Mental Health and Addictions at Regent Park Community Center. So feel free to drop off your idea collection form if you decide to submit your form later, or drop by and ask questions, or pick up a form if you like. And next, please. Yes. And PB on tour, we also have Easter egg events. So on April 19th, we will have our Easter event at both Allen Garden Children's Conservatory and St. Lawrence North Market. At Allen Garden, we will have our tent set up and an Easter egg hunt from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So don't miss an excellent opportunity for farmers market that will be happening at the same time. And at St. Lawrence North Market, we will also have our tent up and with a meet and greet with the Easter Bunny from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. If you have your form filled, feel free to drop them off, say hi, and hand it in. And for the month of May, in May, we'll be spending more time back here in the 519. We have our TC Talk City Planning on May 6th with a vibrant panel guest speakers to discuss intricacies of city planning in an advocacy lens, a heritage lens, policy lens from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then we have the CWNA AGM here at 519 on May 15th from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. And on May 17th, we have our annual Community Environment Day at Allen Garden. Our tent will be very visible from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So bring a bag or a container, because we'll be giving out free compost for gardening. And if you have your ideas collected and forms filled out, also feel free to drop by then and submit your forms. And for the month of June, the temperature begins to get warmer. We will be at all over the place. Join us on June 10th at Wellesley Community Center for our 4th TC Talks event for our spring series on tenants' rights. Again, we will be having our vibrant panel of representatives from residents, associations, community resources, and policy standpoints. We will also be at our 51 Division open house down at 51 Parliament Street, where there will be hot dogs and burgers that afternoon. So feel free to also drop by for those dates. And our annual thing. Lastly, we'll be at Church Street all weekend long during Pride Toronto Festival in 2025. Again, you'll have, if you have your form ready and need advice on how to fill it out, feel free to come by our tent, find me or a member of our team on those days to hand in your ideas or ask some questions. And lastly, and yeah, that's it actually. So if you have any additional questions, our staff are happy to provide you with more information. Feel free to reach out to me and reach out to your neighborhood constituent assistant. If you have your form ready early or want to chat with a team member, feel free to drop by our constituency office at 329 Parliament Street or send me an email directly at sherwin.lau@toronto.ca. And before we break into groups, our team has put together some examples of capital projects at each table. Let's focus on funding things that are permanent, not seasonal things, not paying bills, not operational things, but infrastructure that we can enjoy 24/7 all year around despite snow or rain. Something like a park bench or things that cannot be yanked out of the ground. Also, if you would like to put up posters to promote PB in your building, we have a stack by the registration table. If you can't think of anything right now or have more ideas, feel free to take some extra forms home and drop by our registration table sometime later on. And now let's break into groups and so we can facilitate some of your ideas. Yes, any questions?
I have a question. The form, can it be scanned and sent to you via email?
Yes, it can. It can be scanned.
Scan it. Probably I think you can get more people to think that way.
Yes.
Access to, and now they don't need to create a profile on the website to send it in, do they?
Yes. And I can also, and to all our neighborhood associations, I can also send you a blank PDF format that you can share around, and you can send those back to me as well. Any questions online? Voting takes place between October 1st to the end of October. And we're in the idea phase from April 1st to the end of June. 2 months. Yes. Yes. Coming closer to that date. Yeah.
I want to get down to the nitty gritty of spending money. I got my team here and ready to call for on it. What do we want? Everything.
Are there any questions online that that you would like to ask?